The Las Vegas Grand Prix, in my opinion, does improve year after year, but sometimes I just feel like there's glaring missteps or you just aren't taking full advantage of opportunities.
Clark County Commissioner.
Hi, I'm Amanda, you're watching Girly Pop Go, and I have plans for my new backdrop for Girly Pop Go, this channel. I just haven't done them yet. I have like a whole design. I'm gonna like move this filming setup downstairs. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be awesome. But for now, you just get the inflatable F1 car. If you would like to see a video on these, it is on the channel. But yes, hi, you guys are getting the Las Vegas Grand Prix review this year instead of the other channel. Yay! They've gotten 2. I now have you guys. I have been to all of the Las Vegas Grand Prix since 2023, and I've had like different experiences with each one, even though of the things that I've criticized for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and I have notes that I want to make that I think need to be addressed. I do enjoy this Grand Prix, and also this is basically my home Grand Prix. I will continue to go to them, whether I am invited, I work with a brand, or I am the one buying a ticket. You know, that's what I've been doing previously. It's what I will continue to do because I love the sport, and this is the most accessible race for me, frankly. Also, content creation is my job, and thankfully I set up the other channel so that I can really talk about whatever I want. I've set up Girly Pop Go so I can continue to have motorsport brain rot on a dedicated page. Also, I love giving myself more work. For the entire weekend, I was in the Heineken Silver Grandstand in the East Harmon zone. I had different tickets in different sections each night. The first 2 nights, my tickets were gotten for me via Sonic the Hedgehog through McLaren. I also got tickets via my dad because he loves Vegas and is on first name basis with a slot host, because he has lost so much money in Vegas. Don't ask me what the number is. I don't know. He refuses to tell me. He thinks it would upset me. It probably would. My dad does not care about Formula One whatsoever. He loves Vegas. Even if he wasn't able to go with me to Vegas, I would have bought a ticket to go. Sonic getting me the tickets for Vegas because of the way that they got them with McLaren. It's not like they're asking for approval or anything like that. They can't even ask me to post for those tickets or anything like that. I am simply disclosing that because it was nice. Because I like being nice and disclosing things. But I was in the Heineken Silver the entire time, which is around the start-finish line. That's that first straight. It's personally where I like to sit at the Grand Prix. I have no problem for myself when I am paying out of pocket. I will pay extra for those seats. I don't mind it. It's where I like to be. I love being on the start-finish line. Or like a really hairy corner. And obviously the Grand Prix is still fan zone specific. If you're in the Sphere zone with T-Mobile or whatever, you can't get to the East Harmon zone and all of that. So something to think about when you are getting your tickets, because you might be getting a cheaper ticket option, but you got to think about like what you will get access to. Everything I'm going to talk about is specific to the Koval zone and the East Harmon zone because those are connected. The Hello Kitty Grandstand is in this area as well. Everything got moved up this year so that the race was at 8 instead of 10. So on and so forth. There was a lot of sessions that started at like 4:30 p.m. That also means that the roads close earlier. I think every single day the roads closed at 1 p.m. Locals still hate y'all. Some of it's getting better, but overall the locals, my friends that live out there, there is still a lot of issues, taxi drivers, etc. when I talk to them. Some people are like, yeah, this is cool, I want to go. And then most people are like, can you get them to leave, actually? This is the only instance. F1, like the company of F1, Liberty Media owns F1. F1 owns the Las Vegas Grand Prix. The Las Vegas Grand Prix is the only Formula One GP that they own in its entirety, okay? And like there's people that work at the GP that are like on the GP level that run the GP, but like they're still F1 people. And so there's a lot of things that I feel like happen at the Las Vegas Grand Prix that you may not see at other races, or like the marketing and things like that and why F1 hypes it up so much. It's because they are making the money from the GP overall versus like the licensing and things like that of some other tracks that you would see. Like obviously F1's making a lot of money on those tracks. This is one that they have basically complete control over for a lot of instances, and it's something that they see this as an investment in Vegas, but also an investment in the Formula One brand in the United States. So I went to the track alone for Thursday and Friday, and Thursday I entered into the Koval Zone entrance, which is behind the Flamingo, because that's the easiest entrance for me to go to. There is an East Harmon entrance. It doesn't make sense for me to walk that far for that one. The way to get to the East Harmon zone, though, they have set it up differently, I would say. In previous years, there would be like 2 entrances at this entrance, and you would go through the East Harmon one, and then you would go through like a whole long, like blocked off, like back route that would then lead you over the track to where the Hello Kitty Grandstand was this year, and then you would be able to go through the tunnel area to go to the East Harmon Heineken zone and all of that. This year, though, there was no back route that way unless you were going to the paddock, apparently, I think is how they had it. Enter this way and go through the entirety of the Koval zone. This is also where the F1 Academy paddock was. I only got to go inside the F1 Academy paddock the first time I went to the track on Thursday. A lot of times I would go over there and it would be closed. And then there would be other times where I would know it would be open, but it would be so far away from where I was sitting at the Heineken grandstand that I knew I wasn't going to make it back in time for the next session for F1, or like if I made it all the way over there and it was still closed, I was going to be bummed out. So I only was able to go that first day. It was super sick though. Like they had it set up because I've been in the F1 paddock every year that I've been at the GP now. I usually get a tour of some sort. They have the team hospitality all lit up, okay? And then like the actual garage setup and things like that. But there's a lot of neon. So they did neon signs for all of the F1 Academy garages and teams. Well, it was way bigger. It felt way more intentional. I've talked obviously a lot about the Miami F1 Academy paddock here, but I just felt like this felt more like an event space, if that makes sense. And it was obviously also a functional paddock, but I think this was way better, way easier for people to like actually go and see the different drivers and stuff. They weren't all right on top of each other. The night before this announced that Lego was going to be joining the F1 Academy grid next year, which is so cool. The car was sick, so they had the car out as well. They had a big Lego thing set up for Esme. I talked with Nina a little bit. Nina is taller than you would think she would be. Nina Gademan, who races for the Alpine F1 Academy car. And I'd been following Nina since before she got back into single-seaters, when she was just doing sim racing on social media during lockdown and things like that. And so I was so excited when she was the wild card last year for female quotient. I was so excited. And then to see her driving with Alpine and stuff is cool. But I was finally able to talk with her. I was with a viewer, and I was like, has anyone told you that you're taller than they thought you would be? And she's like, yeah, all the time. I'm the tallest on the grid. I think she said 180 centimeters. I don't know what that means. I know what that means, but it doesn't compute in my brain. And then she's like, I'm very Dutch. And that I'm very Dutch was very funny to me. Got a little bit more footage of the F1 Academy paddock and then made my way to go find my grandstand. It's kind of like my grandstand is usually the same space, the Heineken Silver Grand Prix grandstand on that main straight. It's the same spot, but it's kind of like finding your gate in an airport. It's like, I want to see where my seat is, you know? I also wanted to go see how they had changed the fan zones because obviously from 2023 to 2024, there was quite a bit of difference of where I was at in the turn 3 area. And I knew that they were going to be charging for food. And so I wanted to see how they handled that. Previous years with F1 Las Vegas, your ticket included food. So when you bought a ticket and you were in a fan zone, there was like food that you could get that was free and then drinks you would have to pay for. It's one of the reasons that I felt that when they kept us the track open till 1:30 in the morning in 2023 when we had the issues with manhole cover, I felt that's why they didn't tell us till the very last minute that we would have to leave, because I felt they were trying to, you know, at least make some drink sales. Also, I never talked about it, but during free practice 1 or 2, I don't remember what it was, there was a red flag and they were real hush-hush about what that flag was. And we were like, what's going on? All the drivers made it back to the pits. I later got it confirmed to me that it was a manhole cover coming loose, same way it did in 2023, except it did not damage anyone's cars. What it sounds like is the weld was really loose, and then so a car driving over it loosened the weld more. A marshal spotted it, they called it, and immediately they stopped the session, but they were trying to keep it quiet. Insane to try and do that with how photographed and documented these races are, but alas, that's what it was. No one was harmed, no cars were injured. This year they rolled it back and they were going to be charging for food. I am fine with that, provided that they, you know, made some more options. We'll talk about that more in a second. You know, take care of their people. In the Koval zone, they had the Las Vegas, hold on. Also in the Koval zone, they had the Girl Scouts of America for South Las Vegas there. As a card-carrying lifetime member of Girl Scouts, I really liked that they were there. That's very fun. I did buy Thin Mints. Those are my favorite Girl Scout cookies. We are outside of season of Girl Scout cookies, so it's very cool that they were able to do that and expose Girl Scout cookies to a more international audience, because there's people that travel all over the world to come to Formula One, so that was very cool. They had special patches for them and stuff, so I really enjoyed seeing that. They did a bunch of stuff with them for F1 Academy. But yeah, I was a Girl Scout for 12 years. I was a troop president for 2. I have an award for the spirit of Girl Scouting. I'm super cool. Obviously exposing the Girl Scouts to more opportunities in STEM and engineering, but also in driving and things like this. I think that's really cool, so I do appreciate that. Okay, go over the bridge. You can keep walking and go to the tunnel that leads to the paddock entrance, but also the tunnel that leads to the East Harmon zone. Or you can go into this area. This is where like the Turn 3 Club is, and it also is where the Hello Kitty grandstand was. So there was actually 2 grandstands. And it's interesting because this grandstand formation is actually more similar to what they had in 2023, because last year this whole area was just like the clubs. This is where they had some suites. This is where Dermalogica was one night. This is also where I was at for the first 2 nights in the Champions Club. They did not have the Champions Club this year for Vegas. The grandstand itself, the Hello Kitty grandstand for the 3-day pass, is sold out. I think single days did not sell out. They usually have like a variety of that. And that also got you a scarf and a hat. I will say, I don't know why you guys did that hat for that one though, because so the Hello Kitty grandstand, they got a black hat that had the Hello Kitty logo. I would be wearing my Hello Kitty jacket today from the F1 Academy Hello Kitty jacket collab. It got a lot of mileage in the last couple of days and it really needs to be washed. So we have my standard. The hat that came with the grandstand itself was black with the Hello Kitty and F1 Academy logo on it. The amount of people that reached out to me that were like, the friends of mine that couldn't go to the race, that were like, hey, if you see this hat, can you grab it for me? Can you buy it for me? And the only other beanie that they had in the hub was the one with the chevron and the cat ears for the Hello Kitty collab. If you had swapped it, I think you would have sold way more of the plain black hat. Like the chevron one, I feel like is less wearable for like casual F1 Academy fans. You know what I'm saying? There was a couple of merch decisions that were made across the board. They also have the fleece jackets that they have that have like the track logos all over it for the F1 Las Vegas, which is sick. My dad, I bought him the black and gray one last year. They only had the tan and like white one this year. The amount of people that were asking my dad where he got the jacket, we were stopped on the street numerous times because they couldn't find that one. I don't know if they thought it didn't sell well. Everyone wanted the black jacket. The tan one stains too easily. Decisions are being made. And I'm curious about the decisions being made sometimes. Because they had the grandstands, they had food options here this year. They actually had things that you could do. Because obviously when it's just clubs here, there's food in the clubs. They don't need to be giving out food. For the food options, for the most part, aside from Koval Zone, they had like standard like chicken sandwiches and things like that. In the other zone, I'm just calling it the Hello Kitty zone because it's the easier way to just distinguish it. In the Hello Kitty zone, they had like a shortened version of like one item from each country for most of them. And then the other one, it was each stall was a different country with like 2 items each. And what it was is they did like eating around the F1 calendar basically. So like each booth was like a different country that F1 is raced in this year, which is a concept is super cool. And I'm not even opposed to like you guys charging for food at the track. I'm not opposed to that. I am opposed to you guys not having hot chocolate again. I was also told by one of the people that was working as like are you lost? Let me help you people. That their coffee machine for employees broke like night one. Everything was like $20 and more for the most part. I got a lot of footage of what I ate. Some things were better than others. I'm expecting insane prices because I do events. I do sporting events. Everything's always insane out here. However, why was I told by multiple people that they were not going to be getting the tips that you were asking for on the POS system? Saturday night, my dad went with me. My dad went to tip while we were ordering our food, and because it offers like a tip option, and the guy behind the counter said, you don't need to do that. We're like, what do you mean? We're all volunteers. We don't get those tips. When they ask you for a tip on the POS system, you assume that the people working in that area, working in that booth, are getting those tips. Now, I get it. There's a lot of people working these booths. I would assume it would function like how my coffee shop functioned when we had digital tips, where it's a pot and they distribute it based off of who's working what hours, seniority, things like that, you know, and then they get their divided amounts. I asked a couple of other booths people because I was like, let me go ask around, like, let me see. A few people said the digital tips, it would be too difficult for them to distribute it to us, and we're volunteers. But like cash tips, we like take care of our people. Like we divide it at the end of the night. However, again, before that, if you're on the website, it lets you know this is a cashless circuit. Everything is card only for the circuit. So most people didn't even bring cash with them. Who is getting those tips if it's not going to the people working those booths? I went and talked with the people at the drink area because that's a whole separate area, and they're like, yeah, we get our tips for the people that are at drinks. And they were like, but like we're separate. Like the whole drink area is a whole separate area for the most part. It's not in the same booth lineup. I'm assuming it's a separate POS system. If F1 made an announcement, hey, this year we are charging for food and we are doing that so we don't have to use volunteers anymore, this will give us the ability to properly pay our people that are working to make this event happen so that we can give back to the city of Las Vegas, I would be like, hell yeah. But you're not doing that. And it's just interesting because there's so many other things where they're like, yeah, we're really big on being carbon neutral. They're doing like water recycling and things like that. They're planting trees. And it's like, that's really cool. Why are we not paying people that are working our event? Why are you using volunteers? I know marshals are volunteers. That's a whole other separate issue that I also personally have a problem with, frankly. I don't like this. I don't like the volunteering thing. And also F1U, I get to be mad at you in particular because you guys own this race. Who is getting that money? I hope I got wrong information. I'm hoping 5 separate people working at 5 separate booths told me different information and that all of it was wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I don't think I am. Because why would they lie about that? Most of them had no idea who I was. I'm just a random chick. I'm a random fan being like, hi, I'm sorry. Are you guys getting... If I tip, does that go to you? Oh, no, it doesn't. That's bad. And again, you don't have hot chocolate. I don't know why you guys are not wanting money. Like, if you're going to charge me for food, you should charge me for hot chocolate. We have the technology. In 2023, I bought hot chocolate from y'all. So you guys have the technology. We've lost it. I don't like this. Give me hot chocolate. Pay your people. Okay. This was the end of the F1 Academy session. The rain.
F1 Academy is starting their formation lap behind a safety car.
I think that
so hopefully we
when
do
you go
get
into a
standing
situation
start.
like this, but right now they're just focused on I've got to get as much temp in my tires as possible.
I like the attitude because that just shows me.
Rough race for Maya on Friday. Yikes. That was rough. Tina too. That was rough. Lots of carnage that rain race. Prima won team championship for F1 Academy. It's 3rd year in a row they've done that. Dorian Pan won race 1. Chloe Chambers won race 2, and Dorian Pan is now our 2025 F1 Academy champion. She has a funded seat somewhere, I believe. Previously, they made it very clear that the winner of F1 Academy was going to get a fully funded seat in GB3. Abby Poling won that last year. This year, I believe it's a similar win, but they haven't advertised it, not fully. I believe she gets a fun race seat, but she did win. And it was very cool to see, Kimmy and George, Toto, Susie, everyone go out and congratulate her and all of that. So that was very fun. I was devastated for Maya. It is really nice to see, how the teams support the different drivers and things like that for F1 Academy, because a lot of them are in their drivers programs as well. For the time that they're in F1 Academy, a lot of them have specific F1 Academy contracts. So now we are seeing people that are leaving F1 Academy and therefore leaving the drivers programs. I think there's a better way to sort this out. Some of these drivers that are in F1 Academy, like Maya Hoog and Aurelia Nobles, were already in the Ferrari driver development program, so I assume they're going to stay there. Leah was not in the Williams program, Leah Block. She is now leaving the Williams program. She was always very clear she was going to go back to rally, in my opinion. She doesn't seem to love single-seaters as much as she could, potentially, if she were to pursue it this way. She also has such great success in rally. I think that's a really good decision for her to do. We have a lot of seats that are still open, a lot of drivers. McLaren has already announced who their drivers are for next year for F1 Academy, which I think is interesting. Oh, Vegas. Oh my God. Fire your on-track, on-site commentary people for these races. Fire them. Get rid of them. Those 2 dudes, okay? Get rid of them. One of them kept bringing... Isn't that awful? Isn't that horrible? Get rid of them. Oh my God. Also, they're not enthusiastic. They're bad at talking about F1 Academy. I hate it. Forget me. Screw me. Get someone else. Sabre did great. Sabre Cook is a driver herself. They had her do the F1 Academy sessions with these 2 dudes that were pulling teeth talking. Oh my God. At one point, they were just wrong at some instances. One of them mentioned Marta Garcia and how it's saying she won last year. She didn't even compete last year. She won in 2023. She was the champion for 2023. She was there that weekend, and I don't know why we had them here. This was not so bad. Get anyone else to do F1 Academy. Anyone else. Even for the F1 sessions, their commentary was horrible. F1 Academy, it was almost illegally bad. Anyone else? Someone who actually likes F1 Academy, maybe. Rain sessions, I was in a poncho. I was freezing, but it was what it is. Bring a poncho. Especially when I'm in a grandstand for Vegas, I usually fluctuate between I'm gonna dress cute and warm. Fleece line tights are your best friend. I think it's fun to dress up for Vegas. Just be warm as well. You can always take the jacket off for the photos and put it back on later. Thursday night as well, I did my tour of the paddock and the McLaren garage. That's obviously up. Overall, I do like the earlier start time of the sessions. I feel safer for the drivers, the fans, the workers, and all of that, especially because for the drivers in particular, it's very rough to do the late night sessions, and then also all of the during the day sessions that the sponsors and such, the obligations they have to do. So I'm fine with moving it up because I think it is easier for them to actually get sleep. You guys need to be doing a lot more for the locals if you're going to be shutting down the roads that early. This is a silly note that I wrote down, but I do think it's necessary. You guys have porta potties for the bathroom separated by women and men. You guys ran that like the Navy, by the way. That was crazy. Surely we can find aesthetic porta potties that also have hooks for jackets, coats, ponchos, purses, the shopping bags of things that you're selling at the track. Surely we can find something with a hook, so I'm not setting things down. Just saying, surely we can find some that are like gray and red or whatever it was. The actual fan zones themselves had a lot more seating options and stuff, which I did think was really great. Obviously, I'm not going into detail about a ton of stuff with the race. Turn 1 had some carnage. Lando qualified on pole and then lost it at turn 1. Max ended up winning the Grand Prix. As a McLaren fan and a Lando fan, I am currently rooting for Max for World Drivers' Championship, okay? And that's not new. I have been rooting for that for the last 3 months or so, okay? Just because both Oscar, Lando, and McLaren were annoying me for a bit. So I fully went into my other driver's pocket. I also said it on the news, so I'm locked in. Don't embarrass me, Max.
This is gonna sound so silly. Car go vroom, make brain go burr. It gives me a lot of serotonin. I really love it. Go Max Verstappen, 5-time world champion, coming soon.
So Max won, Lando P2, George P3. And everyone kind of knew something was wrong, didn't know what. There was a couple of instances where my grandstand got annoyed. So when they did the driver's parade, and they loaded them up off to the side over this way, okay? And then they went around the track and then they dropped them off way over on this side. So like my whole 5 sections of the grandstand, I would say, the drivers never passed in front of us. So there was a lot of booing for like going around the track and things like that. And I'm sure it was easier to load them in and out that way. Where I was sitting was great. I was literally right on the start finish line. So I got to see the entirety of the national anthem, where the drivers were and everything like that. I've never been that close to this type of setup. So that was cool. The pink Cadillac, they load up, they go all the way around. I told my dad was like, do you want to stay for this? I was like, yeah, I don't want to fight this crowd. Like, let's just sit. And I'm so glad I did, because they did the Cadillac. And I just thought they were going to do the podium at the Bellagio again, because that's what they've done the last 2 years. But then I was like, oh, that's so weird. Like that's the trophy case, the trophy box, the trophy trunk, whatever they're calling it for Louis Vuitton, which I have thoughts on. Side note, separately, unrelated. See next season what you get from me. I was like, wait, the trophy's here. That's weird. Is someone behind? And then out of the corner of my eye, I see the giant box trucks coming back. And I was like, oh, Dad, I think they're coming back for the podium. I think the podium's going to be right here. And then sure enough, as they're doing the questions, then they're like, okay, go back to the actual podium. And I was like, oh, they moved it. Thank you to whoever moved it, because that meant I was literally right in front of the podium celebration, which was very fun. I don't always skip the podiums. It usually depends on like what my commute is going to be. When I was in Japan, we skipped the podium and things like that, because I was like, I'll just watch it on my phone. We need to get to the shuttle so we can get to the train, so we can get back to Nagoya so we can change hotels. Dumb. Don't do that the same night as a race. Not doing that again next year. I am going back to Japan next year. I've decided it's happening. I don't care what happens. I'm going. Very sardined in there for like where the team personnel was and the Paddock Club people and all of that were. But I'm so glad that I was there for that. That was very cool to see. Lando did not do the champagne pop, and I was like, something is wrong. I thought he was just bummed out, because obviously his championship rival, one of them, won the race and he didn't. He lost time. I'm like, God, was the car slowing down? What's going on? Him and Oscar both ended up getting disqualified later that night. Normally it's an auto disqualification. Apparently McLaren was making their arguments. There's some speculation on what actually happened, because the measurement was apparently off, even by much larger than when they had initially measured it after the race. But basically, skid wear issues, it has to be a certain amount of millimeters. It was less. Automatic disqualification for both Oscar and Lando. You can get a little bit more downforce, better speed, things like that. That's why that would be smaller. I'm just saying Max still won when you guys had illegal cars. That's all I'm saying. Max and Oscar are now tied for second, and there is only a 24-point gap lead between Max, Oscar, and Lando, who was in first. It is doable. I'm very glad that I was there for the DSQ, though. I'm sorry. I as a nosy person who loves mess, the electric thrill that shot through my body while I was sitting on my bed editing a TikTok in my hotel room, and then I saw that notification. I was like, I stood up from my bed as if someone just told me that I got to race in the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Like, I got so excited. What's going on? I've been talking. I need mess. I love mess. I'm messy. Oh, the Mickey bit. So what they did is they did the Cadillac celebration where they did the track ride to go do their cool down, like the podiums. Instead of doing a cool down room, they did the cool down Cadillac, okay? Driven by Terry Crews, which is funny. And then while they were driving them back to actually come do the actual podium, did a celebration with Mickey to celebrate the F1 and Disney collaboration. This was filmed the night before. This was not filmed during the race itself. In case you were like, oh, I should have been at the Bellagio. I would have been able to see things. You didn't see anything. I think F1 still needs to sort out their relationship with Las Vegas as a whole and not just the people that are like happy to have them there. Like, I think there needs to be more of a symbiotic relationship there that I think is still in its growing pains, and it needs to be sorted out because F1 really doesn't want to leave. There has to be other ways to give back to the community than just like, we brought this in tax dollars. I hope you guys figure it out a little bit more, but that's really going to be it. Thank you for watching. Bye.